afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Awaken Suddenly Live. Today, Sunday Quick Talk, the truth of alien life. And you are here live via the Awaken the World page. It, of course, is Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I am Garhen. Nice to see you. And my last name is up there, Avalokiteshvara. And it's only a month old, so, still enjoying it, still playing around with it. It's great. So nice to see you, Terry. I see Terry is here, and I know we have a few other people who wanted to get on board, so we're going to be patient and give it a minute or two. And in doing so, we're actually going to address a little remnant from yesterday's Quick Talk on purpose. So we had a comment/question come in, and that comment question was as follows. There's a lot of talk and courses about finding your passion along with your purpose. Can't you have more than one passion? Also, if your purpose is to grow and evolve, you still have to make decisions like, shall I do X or Y? And people say, do what's in line with your purpose and passion. So what about that, okay? Well, let's understand that you have no purpose here on earth. Now, I know that sounds a little strange at first, but understand that your purpose comes about from beyond earth. Your purpose comes about from beyond who you think you are, beyond this current manifestation, this egoic form, this identified sense of being with I and my body and Garhen, in example, okay? Our purpose evolved way before Garhen ever showed up. My purpose evolved far before that. So when it comes to purpose, you have no purpose here on earth that is earthly based. There is no earthly purpose that you have to fulfill. Your purpose from beyond this realm is to grow and evolve, and you do so through the experience of this realm. Because, of course, when you know you're everything, you've got no way to look at yourself. You really don't. Because you're everything. In the disbelieving that you're everything and limiting yourself, you have the ability to come to know yourself. And this is really what God is doing, okay? And a lot of people will look at humanity as the victims of it. And of course, we are not the victims of this at all. So what about passion? And, in the physically manifested world that we're in, your passion is directly in line with your purpose. Now, I know that sounds totally counterintuitive because first Garhen said there was no earthly purpose, and then Garhen says, well, our purpose comes from beyond the earth, and it does. And then Garhen says, well, your passion should be in alignment with your purpose. And as I said, your passion is in alignment with your higher purpose, your purpose of coming here, and that was to grow and evolve. Whatever your passion is, whatever those things are that you love to do and love to experience, whatever uplifts you, whatever gives you energy instead of taking your energy away in the doing of it, is your passion. And of course, we're going to have many different passions. And some of those passions will stick with us, and some of those passions will not. When I was young, I had an incredible passion for the night sky, for everything to do with astronomy. And I wanted to delve into the stars so deeply, and I did. I used to do everything I could to raise money to go to star shows at the planetarium, and I would spend entire days at the planetarium, just in awe of it all. So much so that I learned everything. By the time I was 12, 13 years old, I knew all the stars in the sky. I knew so much about our universe. And people will say, okay, well, if that was your passion, well, you didn't follow through with your passion. But you see, I did. Our passions are not about us. Our passions are about understanding it's about everyone else. Now, again, that sounds really counterintuitive. Well, wait a minute. It's all about me, and yet my passions are showing you're saying that my passion is showing me that it's all about everyone else. Well, here's the deal when it comes to that. You are everyone else, and everyone else is you. Your passion will involve serving others in some way, and all the passions we've had leading through to this place in our life have been brought to us specifically to help us wake up to the truth of who we are and to allow those passions to start being funneled into serving each other, serving the one, serving the whole of humanity. This is how passion plays into our purpose. And our purpose is growth and evolution. And what is the highest evolution? The highest growth that you can work on and work to experience in this existence? That is the realization that you are not what you think you are. And the full awareness that you are an individuated one amongst a whole, just like a cell in the body, except you will feel this constant connectivity to that whole at all times. So, to sum up, and to answer this question before we carry on with today's quick talk, your purpose is to grow and evolve. There is no purpose here on earth you have to worry about. Your passion will change and evolve over time, and you can have many passions. Experience them all. There is no do or do not. There is no way to mess this journey up. And this is where people get confused. They want to make the right decisions about their life. And they do that from a level of the mind instead of a level of the heart. Listen. Look at your existence. Look at the things that enliven you, that enlighten you, that energize you, and choose from those. No matter what happens, you cannot fail in this journey. So I hope that sums up the last little bit on purpose. So on purpose, we did that to give some space to allow a few more people to show up. And I see that Janet is here. So nice to see you, Janet. And of course, Terry. And I imagine there's a few others hiding that I can't see. And welcome to all of you. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to have a really great discussion today. And I think I'm going to have to boost my gain ever so slightly there. That's a little bit better. Sometimes I get the gain turned down too low and it gets hard to hear. So we're going to talk about alien life today. And man, do I get tired of that word. So let's just clear a few things up right from the get-go. There's no such thing as alien life. No such thing. Really, you've been floating around this cosmos for the last 13 almost 14 billion years. As far as we are aware from our ability to see into the universe, personally, it's been a heck of a lot longer than that, somewhere closer to eternity. But the point is this: do you really think that humanity is your first foray into the physical universe? Do you really believe that you've always manifested as a human form? Really? You've been floating around this universe for an eternity. You've been evolving in this one particular universe for at least the last 14 billion years as far as our temporal definition of the universe would go. And of course, temporal is relating to time. There is no such thing as alien life. No alien life at all It is all life, and every being throughout the cosmos is our brother and sister. Every being. Every being possesses that same consciousness. It is not something limited to the human race. And we become so human-centric that we view anything that we don't recognize as human, we call it alien. Now, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, how about illegal aliens? Well, doesn't that just say it all? I mean, really? They are people of this earth. They are our brothers and sisters. They are the fellow members of humanity born onto this planet. And we're going to call them illegal aliens because of a thin red line that someone drew on a map a long time ago and said, do not cross. We do the same thing with anything we don't recognize, with anything off planet. And we are all from off planet. Now, I know this may not seem like the direction that you wanted to take at first, but bear with me. You need to know the truth of your existence, and that is this earth and being human is far from the only experience that you've had. Okay, I personally have past life remembrances of other spokes on the wheel that Garhen is part of. And those other spokes were not from this planet. None of us actually are from this planet. Kelly's wagging a finger at me, or she's trying to pick something in her ear. Yeah, you're jumping too far ahead, Janet. Abduction is next on the list. Just take a deep breath. Now, I'm not going to talk about belief. I'm going to talk about what I know and what I've experienced, okay? Now, I can tell you this, that yes, people are borrowed from time to time. I don't like the word abduction because, okay, before we even cover off these sort of things, we got to clear one more thing up. And this is incredibly important. I need you to understand how the universe works and how the various races throughout the universe have managed to make it out into space. Okay, and our Earth is a perfect microcosm of what happens macrocosmically within the universe and on many other planets. And I don't know this just from belief. I know this from a direct knowing. I spent a couple years deeply immersed in astral travel and in dream yoga. And that was some of my initial training when I first arrived in Tibet and spent time in India. And I have had experiences off-world. And I can tell you that things operate the same throughout all of creation, okay? This whole physical universe. One, most of the beings in the universe, except for those from aquatic and a few high-pressure worlds, are very much like us. Why? Because everything in the universe is designed to produce beings very much like us. We are not the mold. There really is no mold. It has been a growth and an evolution. Now, in order for a species to get off a planet and get out into space, they must reach a certain level of technological advancement. And you notice that on the splash page for this video, there was a quote from Stephen Hawking regarding alien life coming here, and his idea that it could be very much like the conquistadors when they first arrived. You know, it didn't go so well for the Mayan people, right? That is a misunderstanding that Stephen Hawking had of how the universe functions. And you're going to say to me, well, wait a minute, he was a famous physicist. Are you going to argue with the guy? I'm not going to argue with him at all. He's dead. However, I am going to let you know that he wasn't really right about that. And if you notice, he used the word could. A lot of people say, well, you were right off your rocker, Stephen Hawking. And he used the word could. But let's look at this even just a little bit deeper still. So you can imagine us in our current state of being on this planet Earth. We do not yet have the technology to get very far out into space. Now, we can talk about going to Mars, but cosmically, Mars isn't even our next door neighbor. Mars is still in your house. As a matter of fact, Mars is sitting so tight up against you that you can barely breathe. Cosmically, Mars is no further away than reaching out and scratching the tip of my nose. We're talking about truly interstellar distances here. Distances that at the speed of light itself would still take 1,000 years of traveling through space. We as humanity, just like every other species in the universe, has to go by a certain point of unconsciousness as a whole. Now, throughout time and throughout the universe, there has been a countless number of species that don't make that cut, as we have yet to make that cut. And as we have undergone a cyclical history of coming to this level of consciousness and technology, and even beyond this level of technology and consciousness, we still were not able to stop ourselves from destroying enough of ourselves to kick ourselves back and to repeat the process of moving forward again. This is the same with every species in the universe. For a species to develop to the point where they can develop and realize interstellar travel using wormhole technology which will allow you to transverse an entire galaxy in a matter of moments, that species has to have gone beyond its ability to destroy itself. You see, we have nuclear weapons right now, and we have biological weapons, and those weapons alone on this planet could destroy all of us. As our technology advances and our lack of consciousness stays relatively the same, we will develop more and more dangerous weapons. And we run the risk of destroying ourselves in the process. Every species faces this. Every species must go by this point of their evolution in order to develop the technology and get themselves out into interstellar space. So when we're talking about aliens, and we're going to use the vernacular, even though I don't really like the word, who are so-called abducting people, it is a misconception that's happening based on all the egoic fears and everything that's been programmed into the human race. These people are often taken for small periods of time, not to do any harm, but taken in the same way that you would pick up a cat and think that you were okay to care for that cat in some way. Now, you will see lots of victim mentality types who will talk about all the pain and torture that they underwent while they were abducted, and yet there's no physical marks or anything else like this. That they will tell you about technology that's been implanted in them, and any time there's been technology implanted, this technology is helpful to that being. It is not harmful. The idea of an alien coming down and taking a human being and doing whatever they want with the human being, thinking that human being is nothing and worthless, is a terrible misrepresentation of the truth of it. There are abductions. There has been some mass abductions, but these abductions are not abductions. They are not done for the purpose of ill will. They are not done from the purpose of doing harm. They are done from the point of view of helping humanity evolve and bringing online certain individuals whose testimony and whose state of being will help service that evolution. So understand this, that any species that's actually capable of visiting another planet outside of its own environment, outside of its solar system, must have gone past the hurdle of seeing any of its members as separate from itself. Anything less than that would have invited the destruction of that species in the same way that we have been destroyed over and over again and pushed back to where there was very few humans left and civilization literally restarted itself. So please never have any fear or worry or concern that you could be abducted and harm done to you. The perception that harm is being done has to do with everything that's in your subconscious mind that you've been trained and programmed to believe about extraterrestrial life. And there is a very good reason for it when we're going to talk about the power and control structure, okay? So let's move on here to sightings. Now, sightings do happen all the time. And if you think that we are not being watched closely, we are being watched closely. With a great deal of curiosity and a great deal of expectation and anticipation. You see, the other species in the universe who have made it past that point, who have evolved themselves as a whole to the point where they are no longer worried about their technology destroying themselves, they come here to watch the same process. They come here to see what they went through in action because they understand more deeply the truth of our togetherness, the truth of our oneness, and the truth of our wholeness. And I can tell you that there is an innumerable number of species who is just waiting for humanity to stop harming itself and grow up just enough to realize the oneness of our planet. And when we do that, we will find ourselves being visited in plain daylight, welcomed with open arms into a universal community of beings, all undergoing various stages of evolution, all realizing the oneness and wholeness of us all. This is where, of course, the issues come in, is anytime there is any sort of contact at the human level, it's full of fear. And it is the same way as if you were a caveman and were not aware of fire and somebody flicked a Bic lighter. You are going to be so afraid of that lighter, and you're going to be so afraid of the person who has power over fire and flame. We behave the same way through a lack of understanding, through a lack of awareness about what's really going on and why other species come here and have come here and are here to help our evolution. Not to do harm, not to interfere, but to help our evolution. One of the things we have to do is we have to learn to stop humanizing everything. You know, we humanize cats, we humanize trees, we humanize dogs, we humanize alien life. There is a common thread, though. Of course there is. And the common thread lies underneath the idea of human. That common thread lies in the source of all life in this universe. The source of all life. That sea of consciousness itself. Expressing itself in an innumerable number of ways. So how does this all relate to this big power and control structure on our planet that is filled with human beings trying to control? Well, of course, there's many ideas out there, and one of those is that, you know, aliens would come and that they would somehow collaborate with this power and control structure to bring about the end of humanity as a whole. That is science fiction hokey. Fear tactics. Tactics designed to help create more angst. And we set ourselves up through Hollywood, through our movies, through books, everything that says that if alien life were to come here, it would be incredibly bad for human beings. It is not the truth, but there is a power and control structure on this planet, and no alien species is going to collaborate with that structure. I guarantee it. You can take that one to the bank. Okay? That will never, ever, ever happen. But the power and control structure wants to make sure that should ships come down in plain daylight in various capital cities across the world, they are making sure that the response as a general whole will be one of fear. Why? Because fear represents power and control. When you are afraid, you will do anything to get out of that fear. You know, and a lot of people are going to have a real issue with that, and that's okay. It doesn't really matter to me. I didn't come here the first time by being born. Okay, I landed here the first time. So did you. You weren't born here the first time you ever chose this planet. You landed here. You were seeded here to experience the birth and growth of this planet for the last 4 billion years. That which you are today began as an idea in the mind of God and planted as a seed upon a new barren planet that was just beginning to become aware of itself. For everything in creation possesses consciousness. And you have evolved through all the possible all the possible incarnations of planet Earth, everything that could be here on planet Earth. Do you ever notice that the human baby goes through all the stages? It's a reptile, then it's an amphibian, and then it's a mammal. And there's a fish in there too, of course, because of amphibious life. We literally relive our entire journey out of that primordial soup on this planet all the way up to this point. And we think that this is it. Those beings that you would think about zipping around in interstellar craft are you, as they are you and you are them. There is no separation between the two of you. Many of these beings have had billions and billions of years of additional time manifested here. They have gone through civilization after civilization, as you too will one day remember as well. Never, ever, ever look at alien life as alien again, please. That which comes from outside our world will only come to do us service. No species would find itself possessing the ability to travel interstellarly and still maintain a mindset of doing harm. They would have destroyed themselves a long time ago. That's really it. That's all I have. When it comes to alien life, I've had a number of my own experiences, and from my deepest heart and knowing, I can tell you that there is no alien life. Every one of these beings are our brothers and sisters, and they mean us no harm at all. No harm. That which we perceive as harm is manifested from our programmed consciousness and unconscious mind. Much love to you today. Namaste to you all. Think deeply about this. Release all concepts of human. Let it go. It's been programmed into you, and choose what human means for you. Again, all our love. Have a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and namaste.